Jai Saparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Jiyo Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Hastatara Sata Shri Shila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Hastatara Sata Shri Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Shri Shila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Shri Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Shri Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Mahabhagavat Srila Gorakishore Das Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Gosai Shri Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Vaishnav Sarvabhaum Shri Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gauriya Vedanta Charya Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Narottam Srinivas, turn on that fan. Shri Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Sadhu Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Sarup Damodar Roy Ramanandari Gaur Parsada Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. You can put those out now. Prem Sikho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Navadvip Dhama Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Govardhan Dvadashavanatmaka Shri Braj Mandala Dhama Ki Jai. Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Radha Gopinath Radha Madan Mohan Jiyo Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Raman Radha Damodar Jiyo Ki Jai. Jai Shrimati Lalita Vishaka Adi Ashta Saki Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Manjari Rati Manjari Adi Manjari Vrinda Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Purnamasi Yogamaya Devi Ki Jai. Shri Gopishwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Sarva Bhishta Pradata Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jiyo Ki Jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Shri Nrsinga Dev Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charodam Charu Sampradaya Charu Acharya Ki Jai. Akaramat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Aur Ananya Shaka Mat Samoha Ki Jai. Shri Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Tribhuvana Pavana Harinam Samkirtana Ki Jai. Tribhuvana Mangala Harinama Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai. Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Shri Nityananda Mahajana Ki Jai. Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. I got a really nice letter from Sachi. Yeah, really nice, expressing how she feels so much inspiration. She overheard you telling me, because she was watching that class, and so she directly wrote. Yeah. Okay, so What should we sing today? Kabe habe bolo se din ay amar. Haven't sung this for a long time. So the song Kabe habe bolo se dinay amar. This song written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is expressing his eagerness. Kabe. Gurudev used to talk about how this is one of the most important words in the Vaishnava vocabulary. Kabe. When will it be? When will it be? Without that, our sadhan bhajan is pretty flat. Without that anticipation. So this song is such an inspirational song because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is himself, he's praying. He's saying, oh, please tell me, when will that day be mine? So in each song, he's saying, Say Dinay Amar, Kabe Habe Bolo. When will that day be mine? Oh, please tell me. And then in each verse, then he's expressing, when will this happen? When will I receive such and such mercy? When will I receive so much inspiration like this? So he says, Kabe habe bolo se dinay amar, amar aparadha guchi, shudha name ruchi, kripa bole habe, hridaye sanchar. And this should be our prayer. Today we'll be reading exactly on this topic from the second shloka of Sikshastakam. When will that day be mine? And lamenting why I have no attraction to chanting, despite the fact that Krishna has made himself so easily approachable through his holy names. So he's saying, oh, tell me, when will that day be mine when my offenses will cease? Aparada guchi. And shuddhaname ruchi. When a taste for the pure holy name will pervade my heart. Hridaye sanchar. And how will that happen? Kripa bole habe. It will happen by the power of your mercy. Then the second shlok, he's saying Trinadikahin, because actually this is a song on Sikshastakam. So now he goes on to the third shlok of Sikshastakam. Trinadapi sunichena. So Trinadikahin kabe nijamani sahishnuta gun hridayete ani sakale manada apani amani hoy ashvadibo nam rasasar kabe habibolo sedinay amar. Oh, when will I consider myself lower than a blade of grass? And when will the quality of tolerance enter my heart? Giving respect to all and not desiring any respect for myself, I will taste the essence of the nectar of the holy names. You've turned on all the cameras? Turn. Also, you can read this translation in the Russian songbook. You have it? On your phone? You don't have it? No, what about your iPad? You're always reading from there. Yes. Kabe habe. Kabe habe bolo. Okay. So giving respect to all and not desiring any respect for myself, I will taste the essence of the nectar of the holy names. I will taste Nam Rasa Sar, the essence of Nam Ras. Whenever I encounter this shlok of Sikshastakam, and as he's paraphrasing it here in Bengali, Trinadapi Suniche, it's always like a huge mountain. It's a very small little thing. 4 short requirements. But each one of them is like an unscalable mountain. Yes. But we cannot bypass. No bypassing. You have to scale this mountain. There is no other way to cross. So then, he goes on, Dana Jana Ar Kavita Sundari. This is for the 4th verse of Sikshastakam. Na danam na janam na sundari. Dana Jana Ar Kavita Sundari. Bolibo na chahi deha sukha kari. Janme janme dao o he gaura hari. Ahoy tuki bhakti charane tomar. Kabi habi bolo sedinayamar. At that time, I will say that I do not want the bodily pleasures associated with wealth, followers, praise, and beautiful women. O Gaur Hari, birth after birth, give me selfless devotion, ahoituki bhakti, to your lotus feet. Verse 4 is on the 5th shlok of Sikshastakam, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram. But actually, he's gone on to the 6th shlok. He's gone on to the 6th shlok. Kabe korite Shri Krishna nama ucharan, pulikita deho gada gada vachan, vaivaranya vepatu habe sangatan, nirantara netre babua shradhar, kabe bhabe bolo sedinayamar. While uttering the holy names of Shri Krishna, when will my body horripilate in ecstasy? My words become choked with emotion. My complexion become pale, and my body tremble, and streams of tears flow endlessly from my eyes. And now he talks about Navadvip Dham and what will happen as he is roaming on the banks of the Ganga in Navadvip, calling out, O Gaur, O Nityananda. Kabe Navadvipe suradhunitate, Gaur Nityananda bolinishkapate, Nachya gahya bedai bochute, Batulera prai charya vichar, Kabe habe bolo sedinayamar. When in Navadvip, on the banks of the Suradhuni river, will I call out, O Gaura, O Nityananda, without any duplicity, dancing and singing. I shall run about like a madman, giving up any consideration of the outside world. That should be our prayer, because we're living right here. in Navadvip, on the banks of the Ganga. But this is missing in us, where we're in this maddened state. Oh Gaur, oh Nityananda, running about without any consideration of the outside world. And also without any duplicity, nishkapate. No duplicity. Kabe Nityananda more kori doya, chadaibe mor vishaye ramaya, diya more nija charane rachaya, namera hatete dibe adhikar, kabe habe bolo sedinayamar. When will Nityananda Prabhu be merciful and free me from the illusion of material sense enjoyment, and bestowing upon me the shade of his lotus feet? He will give me the qualification to enter the marketplace of the holy name. Namahata. Namahate, namahatete dibe adhikar. When will he give me the qualification to enter Namhata? Not so easy to even enter the Namhata. Kinibo lutibo harinama ras. Kinibo lutibo harinama ras. Nam rase mati hoibo vivash. Rasera rasika charane parasha koriyama jibo raseyani bar kabe habi bolo sedinayamar. I will beg, borrow, or steal. Kinibo, lutibo. Beg, borrow, or steal the nectar of the holy name, Harinam Ras, by which I will become intoxicated and overwhelmed. Are we ready to become dacoits and thieves? Lutibo, to steal? Are we that desperate? But he's telling that he is. Touching the feet of devotees who relish that rasa, I will continuously drown in it. Rasera rasika charane parasha. Touching the lotus feet of the rasik, Vaishnavas, who are relishing rasa, then I will continuously drown in it. And the final shlok, Kabe jive doya hoy be udoy nija sukha buli sudina hridoy bhakati vinod koriya vinoy Shri agya tahale karibe prachar kabe habe bolo sedinayamar. Kabe jive doya hoy be udoy. When will compassion for all living entities arise within me? At that time, forgetting my own happiness and with a humble heart, this Bhakti Vinod will meekly wander about and propagate the sacred order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so we'll sing this song. You know how to sing that melody? You can sing. You what? Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know it that well, though. That's the problem. I remember hearing Krishnadas sing it on many occasions. Yeah, that one. Toma Amar Aparadha. That's a little too high for me. Aparadha Gucci Shuddhaname Ruchi Kripa Bole Habe Hridaye Sanchar. Okay. It goes up and down. Shuddhaname Ruchi Bole Habe Hridaye Sanchar. Bolo Sedinaya Ma. Money. Okay, so it's the same. Okay. The thing that throws me off is that we're singing Kabe Habi Bolo Sedinaya Mar in the beginning of the verse. Okay. Sedinaya Ma. Okay. Kabhi Habhi Bolo Sedinaya Ma. Habhi Bolo Sedinaya Ma. Amara Paradha Gucci Shuddhaname Ruchi Kripa Bole Habe Hridaye Sanchar. Aparadha Gucci Amar Aparadhe Gucci Shuddhaname Ruchi Kripa Bole Habe Hridaye Sanchar. Aparadha Gucci O Kabe Habe Bolo Sedinaya Ma. Kabe Habe Bolo Sedinaya Ma. Trinadikahin Kabe Nija Mani Sahishnuta Guna Hridayete Ani. Trinadikahin Kabe Nija Mani Sahishnuta Guna Hridayete Ani. Sakale Manada Apaniya Mani. Sakale Manada Sakale Manada Apani Mamani. Sakale Manada Hoy Asvadibo Namarasasa. Hoy Asvadibo Namarasasa. Kabe Habe Bolo Sedinaya Ma. Kabe Habe Bolo Sedinaya Ma. Dhana Janaya Kavita Sundari. Bolibo na chahi deha sukha kari. Dhana Janaya Kavita Sundari. Na chahi Janme Janme Dao Ohe Gaura Hare. Janme Janme Dao Ahai tu ki bhakti charane thoma. কবে হবে বলো সেদিনাই আমার, কবে হবে বলো, কবে করিতে শ্রীকৃষ্ণ নাম উচ্চারণ, পুলকিত দেহা গদ গদ বচন, কবে শ্রীকৃষ্ণ নাম উচ্চারণ, পুলকিত দেহ গদ গদ বচন, বৈবর্ণ্য বেপতু হবে সংঘাতন, বৈবর্ণ্য বেপতু নিরন্তর নেত্রে ববে অশ্রুধার, নিরন্তর নেত্রে ববে অশ্রুধার, কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমার, কবে হবে বলো। ও কবে নবদ্বীপে সুরধুনি খাতে গৌর নিত্যানন্দ বলে নিষ্কপটে, কবে নবদ্বীপে সুরধুনি খাতে গৌর নিত্যানন্দ বলে নিষ্কপটে, নাচিয়া গাইয়া বেড়াইব চুতে, নাচিয়া গাইয়া নাচিয়া গাইয়া বেড়াইব চুতে, ও বাতুলের প্রায় চারিয়া বিচার, বাতুলের প্রায় চারিয়া বিচার, কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমার, কবে হবে বলো। ও কবে নিত্যানন্দ মোরে করি দয়া, চরাইব মোর বিষয়ের মায়া, কবে নিত্যানন্দ মোরে করি দয়া, চরাইব মোর বিষয়ের মায়া, দিয়া মোরে নিজা চরণের ছায়া, দিয়া মোরে নিজা, দিয়া মোরে নিজ চরণের ছায়া, দিলা মোর চরণের ছায়া, নামের হাতেতে দিবে অধিকার, নামের হাতেতে দিবে অধিকার, কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমার, কবে হবে বলো আমার, কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমার, কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমার, কিনিব লুটিব হরি নাম রস, নাম রসে মতি হইব বিবশ, কিনিব লুটিব হরি নাম রস, নাম রসে মতি হইব বিবশ, রসের রসিকা চরণের পরশ, রসের রসিকা চরণ পরশ, রসের রসিকা চরণ পরশ, রসের রসিকা charana parasha koriya mojibo rase anibhar koriya mojibo rase anibhar koriya mojibo rase anibhar ও কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমার বলো সেদিন আমার কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমার কবে বলো সেদিন আমার কবে জীবে দয়া হইবে উদয় নিজ সুখ ভালি নিজ সুখ ভুলি সুদিন হৃদয় কবে জীবে দয়া হইবে উদয় নিজ সুখ ভুলি সুদিন হৃদয় ও বকতি বিনোদা করিয়া বিনয় বকতি বিনোদা করিয়া বিনয় ও বকতি বিনোদা করিয়া বিনয় শ্রী আজ্ঞাতা হলো করিবে প্রচার শ্রী আজ্ঞাতা হলো করিবে প্রচার শ্রী আজ্ঞাতা হলো করিবে প্রচার আজ্ঞাতা হলো করিবে প্রচার কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমার 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 শ্রীকৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ শ্রী অদ্বৈত গদাধর শিবাসারি গৌর ভক্তবৃন্দ শ্রীকৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ শ্রী অদ্বৈত গদাধর শিবাসারি গৌর ভক্তবৃন্দ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ হরে রাম হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Shri Advaita Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Gadadhar Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Shri Shivas Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai, Shri Nam Bhajan ki Jai, Sikh Shastakam ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Do you know if is Tridandi Maharaj returned yet from Puri? From Puri, he was going to Puri for a month. Yeah, should be soon, I think.
11 to 16.
What?
11 to 16.
Who will be there? Who?
All the Maharajas?
No. My question to him was, when Sri Dandi Maharaj will be returning from Puri? That was my question. Yeah, because he went for 1 month, and I thought maybe he'll be here. Yesterday I heard you had a kirtan in Gurudev's Bhajan Kutir, and Janaki came?
Yeah.
Who else came?
And this Ayurvedic doctor lady, Dr. Kavita.
What's her name?
Dr.
Kavita. Oh, I heard her name before. Yeah. Okay. Jai Ho. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurundina Taranam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tvishe Nama Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premam Nanda Pradayane Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vrindai Tulsi Devbai Priyai Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I offered my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Sri Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And then I offer my Dandavat Pranams to the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga and my Siksha Guru Varga. And I offer my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all the Vaishnavis. So now we're continuing with our Sikshastakam reading of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj's beautiful book, The Golden Volcano of Divine Love. And we've completed his commentary on the first verse, Cheto Darpanam Marjanam. And now we're beginning his commentary on the second verse of the Sikshastakam, which is as follows. If you know this verse, you can say it along with me. Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smarane Nakalaha Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrisha Mihajani Nanuragaha. Translation. O my Lord, your holy name bestows auspiciousness upon all, and you have unlimited names such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you reveal yourself. In your many holy names, you have kindly invested all your transcendental potency. And in chanting these names, there are no strict rules concerning time or place. Out of your causeless mercy, you have descended in the form of divine sound. But my great misfortune is that I have no love for your holy name. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, here it is said, O my Lord, you have revealed the chanting of your holy names, and all your power has been invested within those names. So both the holy name of Krishna and its potency, both are eternal. The holy name and all the Shakti, all the potency, they are both eternal. All potencies or energies, all potencies or energies are found within the holy name of Krishna. And there is no particular time or place which has been fixed for chanting the name. It is not that one can only chant in the morning, or only after taking bath, or only after going to a holy place. There are no such conditions. One may go on chanting the holy name of Krishna anytime, anywhere, in any circumstance. Got that? I'm repeating that sentence. Try to visualize yourself. All the situations and everything we go through in life. Is there one single situation where we cannot chant the holy name of Krishna? One may go on chanting the holy name of Krishna anytime. What does that mean? How many hours are there in a day? Is there any 1 minute or 1 second within those 24 hours that we can't chant the holy name of Krishna? No. No. Who proved that? Nam Acharya, who Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the title to. Why? Why did he give him the title? Because he's the example. He's the Acharya. By his own practice, he demonstrated how to be absorbed 24 hours a day. You may say, well then what about sleep, when he's sleeping? No, also. You know what our Gurudev told? He told, I'm always chanting Harinam. Always. I'm always chanting Harinam. I'm never not chanting Harinam. Only when I go to sleep, even then I'm chanting Harinam. But only occasionally, when I'm in very deep sleep, I am not, then I'm not. And we all know the story. We've heard it many, many times when our beloved Gurudev was in Bombay having open heart surgery. You know that story? I think that was 1991 or something like that. And while he was on the operating table, the surgeons, the anesthesiologists, the nurses, the helpers, all were there. And Srila Gurudev, his mouth was moving and he was chanting. And then the surgeon, he said to the anesthesiologist, have you given him? Yes, I have. I've given full. I've given him full. I cannot give any more. That surgeon, at that point, he became the disciple of Gurudev. After the surgery, when Gurudev had recovered, he came and told him, I have seen many saints before, but I've never seen this. In my life, I've never seen this. I fall at your feet. Please accept me as disciple. You see. So is there any time? Is there any time? No. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying one may go on chanting the holy name of Krishna anytime. Now, is there any place? There's so many different places, so many different types of places in this world. Is there any place where we cannot chant the holy name? Well, there was one pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, where he had gone to pass stool in the stool room, and when he came out, he was holding his tongue. He was holding his tongue with his fingers. And there was a young boy there. And the young boy, he said, "Oh, Mahaprabhu, why are you holding your tongue with your fingers?" And then he said, "Because my tongue cannot stop chanting. I cannot stop chanting. But the stool room is very filthy place. And the holy name of Krishna is so pure, I don't want that it will be there and get contaminated. I don't want to bring Krishna, who is none different than his holy name, into such a filthy place." In one sense, that's true, because you should not wear a Hari Nam chadar when you're in the stool room and so forth. Krishna Nam is none different than Krishna. But anyway, that little boy, he said, "Oh, but Mahaprabhu, I thought that you told us that we should practice chanting so that even at the time of death, we will be able to chant the holy name. But what kind of condition will we be in at the time of death? We may be in a very, very foul, filthy state. So then what happens? We're not going to chant?" And then Mahaprabhu said, yes, you have spoken correctly. You are my guru. From that point, that young boy was named Gopal. He became named Gopal Guru Goswami, one of the topmost associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, is there any place that we cannot know? Mahaprabhu himself demonstrated. Did Haridas Thakur also demonstrate that there's not a single moment when you cannot chant? Yes, when he was condemned to death by whipping in marketplaces, severe thrashing in 22 marketplaces. And also the Muslim magistrate who was giving him this sentence said, "But if you'll simply repent and you'll stop this chanting and you come back to our Muslim practices, then you can be forgiven." And what did Haridas Thakur say? Kande kande something. Yeah? "You can cut me into thousands of pieces. You can cut my body into thousands of pieces, and Harinam will never leave my tongue." And he proved it. He proved it. Right there. They were beating him severely, and he simply went going on chanting. And the persons who were beating him, they were astonished because they thought, nobody has ever lasted more than 2 or 3 marketplaces, and we're getting near to the end. And they were actually very exhausted from this heavy beating that they were doing. But then they told to Haridas Thakur, they said, "We are beating you with all of our strength and you're not leaving. So if you don't leave, then we will be killed." And Haridas Thakur said, "Oh, you want me to leave? Okay, then I will leave." And then he fell over. They examined, no consciousness. Then they took his body, threw it into the Ganga. What did Haridas Thakur do? He floated to the other bank of the Ganga. He came up on the bank and we began dancing and singing Hare Krishna. So he proved any condition. That's the third one here. No, not any time, not anywhere, and not in any circumstance. There is no place, time, or circumstance that you cannot chant. Now in this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, yeah. Sorry, I can't hear you. If you're not what?
That applies to when you're chanting Hare Nam, not touching Tulsi. But when you're touching Tulsi, is there an emphasis?
When you're touching Tulsi.
Like, for example, if you're watching a movie or something like that, you should
Yeah.
be chanting during that. Like, I'm wondering, is there a difference between chanting and chanting when you're touching Tulsi?
This is not specifying chanting on Tulsi. Not at all.
So is it different, like there are rules that apply when you're actually touching Tulsi?
You're touching Tulsi, but you're doing something else. You're watching a movie, or so you're saying, does it apply at that time that you should always be chanting?
Like, I'm wondering if there's more rules, like there are some restrictions for chanting when you're touching your Tulsi beads.
There's no restrictions for chanting. No. There's no restrictions for chanting, but Tulsi should not be put in any dishonorable place. But there's no restrictions for chanting. What about this? This is Tulsi.
What if you're going to see a movie in the movie theater?
You're okay.
Wouldn't it not be proper if you were like watching, like in a movie theater watching a movie, like
First of all, a Rasika Vaishnava who is absorbed in Nam Ras, who's completely carried away on the waves of Nam Ras, he wouldn't be doing that because he's tasting so much Ras. He has no time, no interest in anything else except hearing Harikatha. That he's very interested in.
What about for somebody like me?
What's the question?
It would feel very inappropriate if I went into a movie theater, I was watching some Hollywood movie or something like that, and I was chanting on my beats,
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, like, that feels very wrong. And so I'm wondering if there's more restriction, like there are some families and circumstances where you're chanting on just...
Well, first of all, chanting on beads means that that is your daily quota that you're trying to chant, because it's counting. And we should try to do that in a undistracted, favorable place, circumstance, and so forth, to do our Nam Bhajan in that way. So to be looking at something that is maybe not exactly directly Krishna conscious, but it has some connection with the preaching and the service that you're doing and so forth, then it's not necessary to have your hands in your bead bag. Even you shouldn't, like, devotees have a bad habit of walking around, looking here and there. They got their hand in their bead bag and like this, and they're not focusing on chanting. What is that? It's called namaparad. It's one of the 10 offenses, inattentive chanting. You know, so, but as far as internally chanting, That can be there. In a great Vaishnava, I already told about Gurudev, they're always internally chanting. They're always internally meditating upon the Nam, Rupa, Guna and Leela of Radha and Krishna. Right? I remember the first personal, direct conversation, darshan, that I had with Gurudev in 1988. I came there to deliver that donation from Pran Kishore. And on the third day, I was only going to be there for 3 days, and then I was coming here to Navadvip to see Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridharmars in 1988, January. So I asked Gurudev if I could have a darshan with him. And then he did. And I even tape recorded it, but that was lost some time back. Maybe somebody has a copy of it somewhere, I don't know. But it was short. It wasn't long. It was maybe 20-25 minutes long. And a number of topics came up. But then Gurudev asked me a question. And he said, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur, it is stated in our Goswami literatures and so forth, that he chanted 3 lakhs of Harinam every day. But in the case of Srila Rupa Goswami, there's no statement anywhere how many lakhs of Harinam he was chanting. And then Gurudev posed the question, can you say who is superior? And you know, it's funny because just like the day before, I had been given a cassette tape to listen to by Naveen Krishna Brahmachari, now Shripad Madhav Maharaj. And it was actually a conversation, one of the very early conversations that Gurudev started to have with ISKCON leaders. And in that conversation, Gurudev asked that same question to them. And so I already heard Gurudev's answer. So when he asked me, can you say who is higher, who is superior, in superior position? I said, yes, I can, Maharaj, because I heard you tell in this conversation with ISKCON leaders the same question you were asking them. He says, Acha, then tell. I said, well, you said that although it's not said anywhere about Srila Rupa Goswami, how many rounds he chanted, how many lakhs, but Rupa Goswami, if he was hearing Krishna Kirtan, or he was sitting and chanting, and he was so deeply absorbed, and he simply spoke one pair of names, Hare Krishna, he would stop chanting. He would be internally, completely floating endlessly on the waves of rasa. And that's a famous pastime, actually, that Rupa Goswami was in an assembly of Vaishnavas, and someone was speaking Harikatab, Srimad Bhagavatam, and all the Vaishnavas were like overwhelmed, and so many ecstatic symptoms were showing in the Vaishnavas, and weeping, and hairs standing on end, and many great Vaishnavas were there in that assembly. But Rupa Goswami was simply seated silently with his eyes closed. And everybody was wondering, what, Rupa Goswami? What is going on? And then one of the very exalted Vaishnavas said, he took a slight thread from his cloth pulled out a thread from his cloth. He held it in front of Srila Rupa Goswami's nostrils, and as he breathed out, the air that came out was so hot that it suddenly caught that on fire. And then they understood Rupa Goswami is intensely feeling extreme burning of separation mood. And he's not showing anything outwardly. No outward symptoms, only internally. So that was Gurudev's expression about who is superior. I don't know if that's covered the question fully, or is there still something?
I mean, that's a beautiful answer, but I was asking about somebody that...
Well, I know. No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. That would come, huh? Can you talk on the mic so that the people on can hear?
Don't know if Srila Bhakti said the size of Thakur, or Guri, or Srila Bhakti, maybe all three of them, but
yeah.
Talking about need beats very often.
Right.
Because they would be in events and people were not chanting nicely on Tulsi. Like there's a lot more responsibility, like a lot more...
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, Srila Prabhupada did the same. And our Gurudev also did the same. Only when somebody was qualified to accept Harinam initiation, then they could be given Tulsi. Otherwise, Neem. You know what my first beads were? When I met the devotees at the final festival, music festival, and I now had decided that I'm going to associate closely with them, and then I'm going to visit them and live in with their group, in their ashram. So the devotees at that time, this is 1970, they didn't have any Tulsi beads from India. And even in the late 60s, probably some Tulsi beads were sent, but the early devotees, they only had beads that were available for purchase at bead shops, because in those days, these hippie shops also sold different beads, you know, for artistic purposes, like that. So at that festival, the devotees told me, yes, now you should have beads. You should start chanting on beads. So they had a package of 108 beads with the Krishna bead, right? Actually, the Krishna bead, I don't know if it had it or not. I can't quite remember, because they were all round beads, you know. And they sat me down. They had the string there and everything, and I strung my own first set of japa mala. And they were not so big, they were kind of normal sized beads. But I noticed that Satsvarup Maharaj and a few others, they had like really big ones. And their beads were also red color. So anyway, those beads, I mean, I used them for the whole year until Srila Prabhupada came to Detroit, and I met him and told the whole story about the initiation letter. But my beads also arrived, chanted on by Srila Prabhupada, and they were Tulsi beads. So I gave my beads away to some person who was like a new devotee. And I said, here, I've used these beads now for a whole year, chanting on them. This may help you. And then I began chanting on my Prabhupada beads. And I had those beads in my possession. I don't remember which year it happened, but it's more recent. It was like around 2012 or something. I carried my beads all over the world, and most Prabhupada disciples had lost their beads, but I didn't. And I had my beads around my neck like this. And guess where I was? I was returning from a whole world tour, and I had to get off the rickshaw on Seva Kunj Gully, where you're coming off of the lane that goes to Banki Bihari, and then you turn to Seva Kunj Gully to go to Rup Sanatan. They were doing construction on the road at that time. And I had a rolling bag, my carry-on bag. And I had my beads around my neck like this, which was the biggest mistake I ever made, to walk around and carry them in public, but nothing had ever happened. This time, as I was going to go walking on that road, there was no way that you can walk on the road with with wheels, so I had to pick up that bag and lift it up onto my shoulder. As I lifted it onto my shoulder, my bead bag got caught and went like that. And the beads fell out. Right there. And I didn't notice. And then, it was only a couple of minutes to get down to Rup Sanatan. I entered, and then I came in front of the deities, put my luggage there, and as I paid my obeisances, my bead bag was empty. And I went, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I just, like in a frenzy, I immediately went back and I looked all along the way. And what had happened was, I went down to one of those shops. There's like a glass shop there. And I said, did you see a set of beads? I was just here a few minutes ago, my beads fell. He says, yes, actually I did. I saw that they were on the ground. I went and picked them. I said, what did you do with them? He said, I put them again on the ledge. You did what? And you know what happened? Just as I was going, a whole parikrama group was coming. Like 100 people coming one by one. Somebody took those beads. And, I started to post. I typed up a reward. Anyone who has found such beads, if you return them, I'll give you X amount. Some good amount of money, No one responded. So, with a very heavy heart, I started to think, okay, Srimati Radhika is showing me. I'm right here in Vrindavan. And she's showing me that I don't have any taste for the holy name. I don't have any qualifications. So she's punishing me. And with a heavy heart, I went down to Loy Bazaar and looked at the various Tulsi malas, chose a Tulsi mala, and walked back, But at least I have that set. At least I have that one. And I actually put these into the hands of Sri Aniruddha Prabhu, who chants 3 lakhs of Harinam every day. So I feel. But at any rate, one realization also came to me. We can't depend on anything. Anything in this world. Not even our japa mala. That can also go. Right? Only Harinam. Only Harinam. So anyway, Srila Sridhar Maharaj goes on and he says, in this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, O Krishna, you have given a most sublime opportunity to all. You are so infinitely gracious that you have given us the service of your holy name, Nam Bhajan. But still, my misfortune is the worst. I don't find any earnest desire within me to take the name. I have no faith. I have no love. No tendency to take the name. I do not find any innate hankering to chant the name. What can I do? This is Mahaprabhu. He's paraphrasing what Mahaprabhu is telling in this shloka of Sikshastakam. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj says this is the second of Sriman Mahaprabhu's 8 precepts. He says, O Lord, you have given everything from your side to lift me up from this mundane world of relativity. Your attempt to deliver me is so magnanimous that all you require from me is a little cooperation in accepting your grace. But I turn a deaf ear to your magnanimous call. O Lord, I am hopeless. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has given us great hope in the first verse of his Sikshastakam, or his 8 precepts. And he explains that the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, when properly undertaken, it may progress step by step, revealing 7 consequences. And the second is liberation from all mundane relativity. As the third effect, positive goodness awakens within our heart and takes us to Vrindavan. And then, under the guidance of Swarup Shakti, the Lord's internal energy, Yogamaya, we come to the Vadhu conception. We are potency. We are to serve Krishna unconditionally. Vadhu means that rasa which gives full connection with the Lord. In parentheses, Madhur rasa. So after attaining that stage, then what are the other consequences that come? One becomes a particle in the ocean of joy, and that joy is not stale or static, but ever new and dynamic. It is purifying to the utmost. And although we are allowed to keep our individual conception, but still we feel that all parts of our existence become purified to the utmost when we take the name. And this will not only affect me, but all who are, this will not only affect me, but all who are connected with this Nam Sankirtan. They will experience mass conversion, mass purification, the utmost purification. These are the 7-fold results of chanting the holy name. After mentioning this thesis in his first verse, Mahaprabhu now gives the antithesis in the second verse. When such great hope is there in the holy name, then why are we having so much trouble? Should ask that question. when such great hope is there in the holy name, why are we having so much trouble? Where is the difficulty? Why do we not realize the advantage of the magnanimous sanction of divinity found in the holy name? Why? Why do we not realize this advantage? Magnanimous sanction of divinity found in the holy name. Inestimable grace is coming from Krishna's side. He has given us so many opportunities with the least requirement from our side. We must have some taste, some earnestness to accept the holy name. But there is the difficulty. We have none. So, what hope can we have? How can we attain it? We may be approaching the holy name formally, but not from the core of our hearts. So, by what process can we really benefit and make progress? The third verse answers this question. Although one may feel that he does not have the minimum required deposit to receive the grant, but still it is not a hopeless case. The very nature of this realization takes him to the conception of humility. What is that? The very nature of this realization? What realization? That I don't even have the minimum. I'm so bereft. So the very nature of this realization takes him to the conception of humility. So when one begins to practice devotion towards the infinite, when one begins to practice devotion towards the infinite Lord, then he cannot but feel that in relation to the infinite, there is nothing of value in himself. He cannot but feel that. Because it's in relation to the infinite. And what are we in relation to the infinite? There's nothing of value. And he thinks, I have nothing to give in return. Even the minimum requirement for the Lord's grace is absent in me. And then that thinking, that takes him to the conception that I have no qualification. I am completely empty. So a devotee feels within his heart that he is not only unfit, but too despicable for the Lord's service. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, I am lower than a worm in stool. I am more sinful than Jagai and Madhai. We should not be discouraged when we think that we have not even the least bit of merit which is required for the service of the holy name of Krishna. No, we should not be discouraged. For this kind of consciousness is natural for a devotee. And at the same time, we must guard ourselves from an insincere conception of our own devotion. This is our enemy. What is that? Insincere conception of our own devotion That is our enemy. So to think, I do not have the least liking or taste for the Lord, that is all right. But to think, I have some taste, some earnestness, some devotion for the Lord, that is dangerous. Very important statement here. Pratishtasha. Pride. The first verse of Manasiksha. Sada dambam hitva. That's what it's talking about. I remember Srila Gurudev told a story about Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Actually, it might have been Srila Sridhar Maharaj. I can't quite remember now. He told a story that there was a small group of disciples, direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and they were talking amongst themselves, and they were expressing to one another that they feel that what they came for, and giving up everything and coming and taking up the path of bhakti and trying to do bhajan and so forth, they felt that they're not getting what they came to get. So they came before Srila Prabhupada and they humbly approached him with this worry. They felt very worried. And then they said, "Oh Prabhupada, we have come to your lotus feet and we've given up everything, and you've engaged us out of your causeless mercy in this pathway, trying to perform pure devotion to Krishna and pure Nam Bhajan. But we are feeling that we haven't attained practically anything." And Prabhupada looked at them and then he said, "Oh, this is very good. This is very good. Because if you would have come to me to inform me of the opposite, that, oh Prabhupada, we feel we've gained so much, we've advanced so much like that, I would have become very, very worried for you. But now I'm not worried for you." So, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying, to think that I do not have the least liking or taste for the Lord, this is all right to think that way. But to think I have some taste, I have some earnestness, some devotion for the Lord, this is dangerous. So if we are going to have a connection with the infinite, we've come, we're tiny, tiny, tiny. But we've come to have a connection with who? The infinite. And if we are going to have a connection with the infinite, we must be fully empty. Our self-abnegation must be complete. Self-abnegation must be complete. Worldly attainment, this is a negative thing. It is a negative thing. Worldly attainment. And we must withdraw from it completely. Any worldly attainment, we must withdraw from it completely. And we should think, I am nothing. I have no qualifications for being accepted or being used in the service of the Lord. I am completely unfit. We must completely withdraw from the egoistic world and allow ourselves to be captured by Yogamaya, the Lord's internal energy. A slave has no position. A slave has no position. The whole position is with the master. Everything is his. Realizing this is our real qualification. When we realize this, that we have no position, everything is with him, everything is his. So to realize this, that is our real qualification. And as soon as we assert that we have some qualifications, our difficulties begin. As soon as we begin to assert that, our difficulties begin. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he says, what does Mahaprabhu say himself? I don't find a trace of love of Krishna within my heart. Na prema gandosti darapi me haro. He says that. So this is the standard of humility. And that feeling must be sincere. It must not be an imitation. We must be careful. We must not venture to imitate the highest devotees. To genuinely feel, to conceive that we possess nothing and that everything is his. That is the only qualification for chanting the holy name of Krishna. Gaur Premanande. This is incomparable. Incomparable. And if I go back even 5 minutes after now and I read the whole thing again, it'll still completely stun me. So, how fortunate we are that Srila Sridhar Maharaj left behind his very unique and very personal commentary, what he's realized in his heart from all the acharyas, and now he's taking that and synthesizing that into this for us. So that completes today's class, and the class on Tuesday will be covering the third shloka. I just want to say something about that shloka, Trinadapi Sunichena. We were with our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, in the 26 Second Avenue Temple, where Srila Prabhupada began his movement in New York City. The first time that Gurudev came there at the end of his first tour in 1996. And at that time we had the incredible experience of being with Gurudev there and Gurudev glorifying Gurudev there. Becoming stunned and just completely overwhelmed with emotion. You can see it. That video is on YouTube. But prior to his speaking, he requested a couple of the other senior devotees there, Shamrani, Didi. There was this one devotee named Dayananda Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple. He was the first temple president of the Los Angeles Yatra. And very nice person. I remember him well. Dayananda, and there was another there who spent many years in France, and he was quite a kirtaniya, real kirtaniya. can't remember his name right now. Shoti Maharaj would immediately remember his name. But anyway, he also was asked to speak something. And there was also our Nrsimha Maharaj, Bhakti, what was it? What? Yes, Gaurava. Bhakti Gaurava Nrsimha Maharaj, who was formerly, initiated and took sannyas from Srila Prabhupada and just kept as all they did. His name was Jagat Guru Das, so he became Jagat Guru Swami. But later on, when the whole division happened with ISKCON, he approached Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj and requested from him, because he had given the name Bhaktivedanta to our Srila Prabhupada. It was Srila Sridhar Maharaj that suggested that title, Bhaktivedanta. And so, based upon that, he felt that, you're my Siksha Guru, so I request that you give me a sannyasi name from the 108 names. So he then became Bhakti Gaurava Nrsimha Maharaj. He's left the planet, but he did a lot of preaching and a lot of service, and quite a unique devotee in many ways. And so, but he was asked by Gurudev to speak. And he told a story that I hadn't heard before that. And I don't quite remember who was the other individual in the story, along with our Srila Prabhupada. But somebody had asked our Srila Prabhupada, I don't even remember exactly where, what time, place, circumstance, but they were talking with the Prabhupada, and they said to Prabhupada, oh, you were a pharmacist, so you know many pharmaceutical, what do you call them? Like when they put together formulas, pharmaceutical formulas, like that. So, huh? Yeah. And so they said, do you have any formula? Could you say, is there any formula for attaining perfection in this pathway? So you must have a formula, because you were a chemist, you were a pharmacist, so you must have a formula for this. And Srila Prabhupada, he answered and he said, actually, yes, I do have a formula, but there's a problem. I don't know how to put this formula into a bottle. Oh, well, what is that formula? Chanadapi sunichena, tadoriva sahishnuna, amani namanadena, kirtaniya sadahari. That's the formula. So, we should never look upon any of these shlokas spoken by the lotus mouth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as being something ordinary. Oh, I've said those shlokas so many times. No. This is the entire precepts of Mahaprabhu in 8 shlokas. And therefore the Chaitanya Charitamritam, the entire masterful, incredible presentation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's biography by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he ends the entire book with Sikshastakam. How Mahaprabhu himself relished and tasted the meaning of each one of these words and explained that to Sri Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar Goswami in the Gambhira. That's the end of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Of course, we know that the overall teachings of the Siddhanta of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented to the world based upon Srimad Bhagavatam. We know that that was also condensed into 10 different tattvas, dasmul tattva, 10 different teachings. And when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote his first English book for the introducing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the whole Western English-speaking world, a small book, and he gave the title Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His Life and Precepts. But that book has 2 parts. First part, his life, Mahaprabhu's life. And the second part, his precepts. And guess what Bhaktivinoda Thakur presented as the precepts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Dasmul Tattva. The 10 essential principles of the full philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, but the essence of what Mahaprabhu came to give, that he came to give the chanting of the holy name of Krishna as the process in this age, as the only process. And it is only through this that someone will attain that Krishna Prem. That is Sikshastakam. So, we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate that we have come in our life into the association of the pure devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and how they have delivered this message. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur taking his, taking his example. But if you examine the lectures of our great acharyas, you'll find that what they're speaking is dasmul tattva. That's what they're speaking. Dasmul tattva contains everything, all sambandha, abhideya, prayojana. Everything's there in dasmul. So, but just like in Jaiva Dharma, everything's there in Jaiva Dharma. But the essential teachings of Rasa Tattva, they are given at the end, which is like a condensation of Ujjvala Nilamani of Srila Rupa Goswami. They're given at the end of the Jaiva Dharma. And only persons who actually have some adhikar to read that, they can read. So, but Dasmul Tattva, that's the final Tattva. What is the final Tattva of the Dasmul Tattva? That Krishna Prem. Krishna Prem is the ultimate goal of life. And that is what we have come to this pathway for. Nothing less, Krishna Prem. And that's what Mahaprabhu came to give. And it will only be given through this Sikshastakam if we follow. If we do our Nam Bhajan, taking the guidance and the support of these 8 shlokas of Sikshastakam, then and take them deeply into our heart, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur has clearly shown in his Bhajan Rahasya, how to go through the stages of advancement in bhakti by meditating upon the 8 shlokas of Sikshastakam and the expanded commentary in the form of many, many different shlokas that Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur was giving to help the devotees to enter and to go very deeply into the moods of each one of these 8 shlokas of Sikshastakam. So we're finishing there as the electricity goes off. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudeva ki jai, Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Sachinandan Gaura Hari ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsidebai Priyai Keshavasya cha, Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namah. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyeva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.